Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, Spurs family. Welcome to another episode of Daily Tottenham. And this time we're having it with Daily Bournemouth as well. So I've got my colleague Vic from the Daily Bournemouth's brightest talent there. And as ever, it's going to be chatting about, obviously, the forthcoming match this Sunday between the two teams. As a Spurs fan, I'm not looking forward to it at all. We've had a terrible season. I just want it to be over. But Vic, how are you, buddy? And you must be in a good place being a Bournemouth supporter.
Hello, Chris. Nice being here. Yeah, I have to say, because we're sharing this episode, so welcome everyone. Welcome all our Bournemouth fans as well to our today's crossover episode, where we're going to be talking about the pre-match review against the Spurs, against the, should I say, hopeless, ambitionless, or
all of those words, anything with less, will probably work in context with us, mate.
Spurs.
Definitely.
Right. I'm great. Thanks. Yeah, and it's a great time, great feeling to be a Bournemouth fan. Yeah, it's just you can always come over and swap the shirt colours.
Unfortunately, like you are Bournemouth till you die, I am Tottenham till I die, and it's just been a very hard slog on here. Every time getting motivated, and you kind of lose a little bit of interest in football in general. You're just like, oh, it's another match, is it? It's not great, but I'm not going to dwell on the negatives because as a Spurs fan, we have to look forward and look for positives because ultimately there isn't anything else to do. We had a terrible performance midweek in the Europa League. It was abject, dismal, lacked any ambition, drive, determination, class. There's loads of words there, and so many players didn't turn up. But I hope on Sunday they've had another few days rest, which seems to make no difference for us now, to be honest.
No.
And they need to have a response, definitely. How's your season been then, mate? Is it okay? It's been looking good.
To be honest with you, considering that, we won the last game against Wolves, so we are through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Where
who
in
wants,
the next
who wants
round
FA Cup? No.
Yeah, where in the next round we'll be hosting City in Vitality. So that means the third cup game in a row will be played in Vitality, which is great.
Nice.
We've beaten City already this season. Why not again? Premier League wise, we've lost our last two games in the Premier League after the really good run. We went 11 games unbeaten. We had 2 hat-tricks of Kluivert back in December, and obviously had Kluivert as the player of the month, Iraola the manager of the month, and Brooksy's goal, the goal of the month. So December was very, very good month for us. And at the moment with our position, our standings on the table being 7th with 43 points, which is a few more, I believe, than Tottenham.
Look, we're not here to have a go at each other yet. We'll wait till Sunday about that. We're all fans of football, so don't start picking on me, please. We're an easy target at the moment because everything is going wrong. We have own goals coming off people's backsides, going in the goal. You name it, Spurs have had it.
You're still doing a bit better than United. Okay, if that's...
Well, I would like to say so, but I mean, sod's law is we'll do well to get through this round in the Europa, to be honest. But if we do get to the final, then there's all chances that we'll play Man United in the final. And you know what? Man United, they just might have a better mentality in a cup final situation anyway. So, all the eggs in one basket for us, unfortunately. The league is a total write-off. Most Spurs fans just want it to be over and move forward. But obviously, Dominic Solanke got injured coming on last night as well, so he's not playing on Sunday, which is great because obviously Bournemouth.
Yeah, good for us because he's a little striker and we know him well. And most of the players from Bournemouth squad that's playing now used to play with him and they know him well and he knows them well. So obviously that helps us a lot. I believe we can still get to that Europe spot, at least conference. And actually, I would be probably the happiest with getting into conference for next season, because if we try to achieve and let's say get the spot into the Europa League or maybe even Champions League, I think that will be a lot more difficult. In conference, you get to play a bit weaker teams, so you're not like an underdog.
Mm.
And maybe we actually get the chance to do something, to get some wins, and maybe to even go through. Why not? Some of the teams for the first times in their life, like Boras from Banja Luka, went through, and he's playing the next round of the competition of the Europa Conference League. So my passport is ready. Our fans already know that. I mentioned in every single episode, my passport is ready. I'm confident we'll go to Europe.
Fantastic. You've got every chance, to be honest. And I think you've had your own sort of injury issues this season, of course, with a couple. You think you said before the
Oh yeah,
podcast
back in
started.
December we had
Yeah, you were
nine
it was
players
quite
on the
bad.
list.
I think that's the difference between playing, just the cups and going into Europe as well. That added game midweek. We just haven't had the rest, and we've massively messed it up regards to getting players back as well. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys do. Your squad depth will have to be a lot deeper, I guess.
This is the thing that I said in 2 or 3 episodes so far, that if we get to play Europe, which I believe we will need more squad depth, because with this kind of squad, it's okay because they can focus on in Premier League. We've been kicked out from Carabao Cup, the first round. Okay, who watches Carabao Cup, right? FA Cup.
It's only important if you get to the final and win it.
Yeah, I guess. But again, FA Cup, something a bit bigger. We now qualified for the third time in our career, in our existence, 125 years of existence. It's the third time that we go to the quarterfinals. Hopefully, we can beat Man City and go through and set a new record. Why not? And then play the next game in Wembley.
I think looking at the cups, looking at the league as well. Apart from Liverpool, who have been consistently very good,
Yeah, they
to be
won it.
honest, and no one can, for the league in particular, no one can say that they don't deserve it because they've been the most consistent team and they're the best team in the league, and that's the way it should win.
They are.
It should be.
Yeah.
But I would say for the cup, the FA Cup in particular, the way that's opened up now. Yeah, Man City are in there, you're playing them, but they're certainly beatable. And, a lot of their players are playing way below their own standards. And arguably, yes, you've had your injuries, but looking as an outsider for Bournemouth, I would say that some of your players are playing perhaps better than you thought they could play, and some of them as well, especially Justin Cliver in particular. I think I didn't see him being as good as he is, and there's obviously quite a few other players there doing it as well, and that's what makes a good season, really. So, your manager what's clicked then with Bournemouth this season?
I think just the way he reordered the players and then changed their position, the transition in the positions. One of the biggest ones that he did, obviously, he moved Christie from playing a winger to playing a central midfield, the central defensive mid. He's having one of his best seasons ever. He's a question mark, however, at the moment against the Spurs because he got injured in the last game. Against Brighton, and he had to leave the pitch early. So yeah, we'll see how he gets on. But then yeah, Clivert, as you said, he's just our star player. And my personal opinion, I don't think Clivert would play that well in any other Premier League team. But just like you say, something clicked, and yeah, that's it. So
obviously, your manager's going to be sought after, I guess, at the end of the season as well. But he seems to be quite a what should we say here? Sort of a guy who would stay around for a bit of time and to see a project through rather than jump ships. You would hope.
I'd love to, and we are trying to manifest everything. Honestly,
Vic has got his fingers crossed. Everybody,
we are manifesting it. We are doing the Haaland celebration thing. Every time we talk about Iraola, but there are already some rumors that he might go to Tottenham. It's weird. I don't know if you've heard that, but
of course we have, because he's got a good playing style and he's doing very well. But the problems at Tottenham, for any Bournemouth fans in particular, the problems at Tottenham aren't necessarily just the manager and the team. It's a mentality. It comes from the top, and it seems to be quite rotten, unfortunately. And it's something which is so frustrating for every Spurs fan in particular. So, when we had our issues at the start, just after the first couple of games where we did really well, and then we started getting injuries and there was a lot of question marks over Ange, it was, a lot of Spurs supporters were saying, you know what, I'm sick of just firing managers. Let's just see how it goes and stick with it. And that's obviously what they've done. Also, there wasn't anybody around either, so that does help the situation. And the good ones that are around, they've most of them been Spurs managers already. How many Spurs managers can you have in a short sort of lifetime? But it's not been great. But any good manager will be linked with a club which aspires to be better and bigger. And arguably, we're
And to
bigger
never
than
win anything.
Bournemouth. But we certainly aren't playing like we should be. So.
No, you've got the player quality that you got. It's way above Bournemouth's
But it's not being
quality.
shown. It's not being shown at all, and that's the
It's not
frustrating
being
thing.
shown.
And that's so frustrating when you're watching it now, because we watch the players and we know what they can do. And there's some young players
They're
which
just
we've
not
been
performing.
given a chance, which is fantastic, and they are doing well. But it goes down to the transfers, and that comes from the top, getting the quality in, bolstering the squad with enough time for them to bed in and get used to the playing style as well. And we've been lucky with a few recently, with regards to Danso, our central defender. He's
Oh
just
yeah,
slotted in lovely, and actually, he's better than I thought he would be. He's a decent player. He really is. Is he
I think
better
Dan. So
than?
yeah, he's a great signing.
Yeah,
Great signing.
is he better than Romero and Van der Ven? No, because they're the two class and standout players. But at the same point, they've got injury issues, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they're
they're
always going to
prone
have
injury
injury
players.
issues.
And
Uh, you know,
um, but what about? I want to ask you about one of the other signings that you got.
tell, yeah. Excuse the pun. It's too early to tell. Uh,
It's too early to tell. Yeah,
he's not a currently he's very young. He's not what we see as a centre forward in our opinion. Most Spurs fans will tell you that they would like to see him playing wide on the
maybe
left or
winger.
even on
Yeah,
the right, because he certainly looks like he's that type of player. But Ange persists in playing Johnson, who gives absolutely zero in the matches, and yet he gets on the end of balls back and cuts back, and he's scored quite a few goals for us. But that's all he does. He doesn't help the defense or do much in attack. Doesn't take a man on. He's got the pace. He doesn't take a man on at all. It's really frustrating. Really frustrating.
and
And
we've
then
been
on the other
talking
wing,
about this. Yeah, sorry to
sorry,
interrupt.
we've got on the other wing, we've got Son, who is unable to
Yeah, what's
consistently.
happening with him?
Well, he's just overplayed, and the players below him aren't quite at the standard of a Son, if that makes sense. And it's hard to be that. We'd had the same if Kane stayed at Spurs, and 3 seasons time, he would still have the touch, etc., but he wouldn't be able to perform at the highest level consistently for more than one match a week, and that's what Son issue he's had as well. I think it's just really disappointing.
Consistency. Yeah, yeah. I want to say we had the similar problem with Alex Scott. We signed from Bristol for 23 million, and
Wow.
he's the type of player that he's a young prospect, young lad, good player, but somehow doesn't really fit the tactics of Iraola
Mm,
because he's got a very similar issue that Brennan Johnson has, and going more forward but not following back. And we've been talking about this in our past episodes, actually, and um, the pre-match review that we did before the game with Wolves was actually interesting because I did predict that Scott will start, obviously with Christie being injured, and he did play the whole game, and he was actually very good. We've seen progress. He's still not there, and we've seen the progress. Now the question is whether he's going to stay. What's going to happen with him? Um, does Iraola have him as a backup plan? Because there are players that really have a good chemistry between themselves,
yeah.
and you can just see it, like see Adams and Christie playing in the middle, and Lewis Cook now playing right back because both our right backs are injured. But what's going to happen when both of our right backs are going to come back onto the pitch? Where is Lewis Cook going to go? Because somebody from the middle then needs to go out. Who are you going to play? We have that kind of problem because they're all good, right? So you don't know who
Yeah.
to play first.
Well, any team has that, and we've certainly got a similar thing with perhaps Madison as well. He doesn't quite fit what Ange wants, and he doesn't it doesn't then perform, and I think his heart's gone out of it a little bit, if you ask me. But after the break, we'll chat a bit more about Bournemouth, and I'll ask you for the players to watch out for, and I'll try and tell you the Spurs players to watch out for too. Wait a second.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Okay, welcome back. Let's talk a bit more about the players to watch out for in the Spurs team. It's often hard when you're talking about other teams because, like for Bournemouth, the names which resonate with me are the players who have scored hat tricks, etc. I don't tend to watch loads of other football teams because I'm so well. I do when Tottenham are doing well, to be honest. When they're doing bad, I just trying to hide myself away a little bit and pretend that the season isn't happening. And that's what I've been doing this season, to be fair. But Spurs players, there are some positives this season, and that's a good thing to say as a Spurs fan. And certainly one of the positives is Bergvall, Lucas Bergvall in midfield. He was given his chance, and he really does take the opportunity and drive forward. And every time he gets on the ball now, he tries to do something positive and make it happen rather than passing sideways and backwards. Fundamentally, when he does pass it, the ball does end up going backwards anyway, because this build-up play is really, really slow. And that's half of our problem currently. If we can get that speed a little bit better and zip it around, as you guys do currently, to be honest, we'll be in a much better place. Other players to watch out for, I would say, would obviously be Spence. He's been doing really well wherever he plays. So he's his dribbles. I think he's got the most dribbles we've had in the Spurs team for the last couple of matches, and he's had a few standout performances as well. So he's somebody to watch out for because he can make a difference. To be honest, those are the two players which really drive forward and do things. Everybody else is playing well beneath their ability. In defence, we've got obviously Spence, as I said. We've got a Doggy's back, which he's done nothing since he's come back, unfortunately. He seems to be way below where he should be. When he was on form, I still thought he was getting out of his position a lot. And that's still the case now, unfortunately. And then Porro, which, yes, is reliable to certain degrees, but he needs to be reined back a little bit because he will leave space behind. Danzo's come in the centre defence, and he's been partnering Archie Gray. And Archie Grades, he's an 18-year-old. He's not a central defender. He's not a left back, right back. He's played on both left in the middle and right in the middle centre backs. And everybody wants him to play number 6. So who knows, that time might be coming up pretty soon, hopefully, with the return of Romero, if he doesn't hurt himself on the international break, because he's definitely going to play. So that's Spurs in a nutshell. We're very toothless going forward, unfortunately. Maddison hasn't done it. Kulusevski's injured now, and Maddison's in. Hasn't taken his chance to date. I do believe in him. He's got great numbers still, even though he didn't play very well in midweek. So, yeah, that's Spurs in a nutshell. So, who's going around your team there? I mean, where do you see you can sort of make the difference? And because last time it was 1-0, wasn't it?
It was 1-0. Well, it was actually 2-0, but again, lovely VAR that likes to bully Bournemouth denied the Van Ilsen's goal in 72nd minute. So
was it correct? Was it a correct call?
Against Bournemouth, it's always correct.
Oh dear, you seem to be a little bit better there. You just got to suck it up and move on. That's what we can do with VAR.
There is a table, right? Somebody did the prediction, and there is a table of what the positions of teams would be without the VAR decisions being overturned this season.
Right.
And Bournemouth would have been third in the table now.
I think we had that last season. I think we would have been second. So, yeah, it's the same sort of thing.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, you know. It's like, and every home game I'm at the stadium, and every time some VAR thing happens, you know. And last game against Wolves, there was a break of 8 minutes while VAR took the decision of what happened. 8 minutes. That's never been like that. And in the end, they disallowed Bournemouth's second goal. And then it went to extra time, and luckily we won the game in the end. But if we didn't, I feel like we would have been robbed.
I think it's a clear and obvious error. I think, well, if it's not, then just don't get involved. As simple as that, isn't it, really?
They're just making it more complicated with that VAR. I don't know. It's
not going to change, though. Technology's here. We just need to work with it and make it better, I guess. And
they're not going to change. That's it.
Semi-automated offsides. Then that's going to go to automated offsides.
Yeah, so that was one of the issues with in Bournemouth Wolves game. It didn't work. So then the referee came to the coaches, to both of the coaches, and had to explain to them that the automatic offside system didn't work. So they had to check it manually, whatever. But anyway, let's leave that game in the past. We are through. We've beaten Wolves. Yeah. So focusing on the Spurs game, right? We'll talk a bit more about the last game and the Bournemouth's run just before we do the predictions. But I think we have a quite good chance, and I would say that considering our top striker Kluivert with 13 goals, and out of these 13 he scored 10 goals away, he might be scoring again against Spurs, and
could well do.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we take away all 3 points. Despite losing both last games in the Premier League, which was unlucky. Before that, we were unbeaten for 7 away games. We had 5 away wins and two draws. So we have a good chance, and we need to try and fight for that European spot, because I know we can. We can now. From what I've seen, I know we can. We might have the smallest stadium. We might be one of the least paid teams in the league, but we can do it. We can do it.
Well, you've got something to play for in the league, and that goes a long way. I mean, the only thing the guys on Sunday turning up for Spurs will be playing for is a bit of pride in the fact that they let the team down. They let the fans down, over the last couple of matches in particular. So, no, I think you'll be in a good place. After the next break, we'll have a chat about starting lineups. We can talk about the previous match there as well, and then you can tell me how much Bournemouth are going to beat us by.
I'd love to hear that.
This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day.
Oh, to hear those singing fans once more. It'd be so joyous. It really would. So, last time we met in December, as you said, you guys won 1-0, scored in the 17th minute, and that was your young central defender. Is that right?
Yeah, centre-back Housen. Yeah. It was one of his first...
He looks all right. Yeah.
It was one of his first games that he started after Senesi got injured, and to be honest, he was just shining after that. He's beaten everyone's expectations. He's been so good, so well, and his market price went up so high that now in the summer his release clause will activate, which is £50 million. So
wow,
we bought him for 20. If somebody pays that money for him, we're gonna make money. But yeah. So I'd love him to stay. Especially if we get to Europe, they're going to have what to play for. They can play the European competition, and they can make something out of it. We are all aware that some of the players have to leave because of the financial fair play, and because you can't keep them if they want to go. But I'm sure the board and the owner have other players in place and replacements, so I don't really worry about it.
It seems like it's a very together club as an outsider. It seems like it's well run. It seems like the fan base is behind the team, etc. And obviously they're going to be because they're doing well, and the manager. And I think you guys are. Yeah, you're in absolutely a great place, and whereas we're not in a great place. So I would be surprised if you didn't get something out of Sunday. Put it that way. Looking back at the previous match, I mean, we did our classic 65% possession, which we still are doing, but it's irrelevant if you keep the ball. It's where you
The
keep,
possession
it's
doesn't
where
win
you
the
keep
game.
it. Yeah, doesn't win the game, as everybody knows that. We only had 4 shots on target to your 8, 12 shots in total, 21 to you. Yeah, a lot of passes, which are relevant for Spurs currently. We did,
You had
fouls
more corner
conceded.
kicks.
Yeah, we had more corners. I'm looking at the stats here, and I personally hate stats. I'd rather just go off gut feeling. I've watched a game, and actually, so and so was good, and he wasn't. But it wasn't bad at all, really. So yeah,
Even if you
played.
look at the big chances and the expected goals ratio, it's 3.3 for Bournemouth. So obviously we should have scored more than one. We did score 2, but then again it got the decision got overturned by the VAR.
Oh,
And
I'm ahead of it. Tell me about it.
to be honest with you, honestly I'm starting to think. Is it a good idea to go now and every game just put some money on sort of in the betting shop for the VAR to be activated in the game? Because I heard it's a good
Yeah,
payout. Like
that's what the VAR people do. Definitely. Um, controversial. Head to heads, we played 15 matches against each other. Of course, we've got more ourselves because ultimately we were, you know, at times a better team. Not this season, obviously.
that's the team.
Spurs got 10 total wins against your 3. We've won 6 at home. You've won 2 at home. 1 away. 2 draws. Yeah, I mean, I don't read much into that, do you at all? I think heads to head now, you're miles ahead of us. To be fair,
I think
we
we're
should
a better form.
looking on paper. Hey, we should do well, regardless if Kulusevski's not playing. But that's not football, is it?
That's not football. No, that's not football. It's. I mean, you will be lucky because we are out of again some injured players and Zabani still got the ban that he got because of the red card.
Right.
So yeah, so he got a red card against Wolves in that Premier League game, which was unlucky tackle straight away. We tried to um, to complain and sort of put the number of matches down, but it didn't happen. They didn't accept anything. So yeah, he got a 3-match ban, and this is his 3rd game. So after this one, he will be able to play, and that's our next game against Brentford at home, which is going to be really tough, I think, because Brentford is a great team. And since they entered the Premier League, they've always been somewhere mid-table. They've always shown
They're
um,
consistent, aren't they?
they are
Definitely. They're
consistent. They are
definitely beatable, and
consistent.
obviously we beat them when we played them last, and that was one of the highlights of the. Well, I was if there was a we don't have DVDs anymore, of course, but if there was a DVD highlights for our season, then that match would probably be in it at some point because we haven't had many, but we did play well on that.
Honestly, I don't think Bradford, since they've entered Premier League the last time, I don't think they've ever been close to the relegation.
No, well, they've got a very good manager. I do rate him, to be fair. So he knows what he's doing, and again, that looks like another well-run club, doesn't it? And the fans seem relatively happy. Do a lot of the fan engagement there as well, which I read about. So. Right, okay. Starting lineups for you guys. Where are you on your team there? You did say somebody's obviously not available,
Yes,
but
so Christie will probably be out now. I've just read the latest news that the coach Areola made Ryan Christie surgery admission before the fixture, so he obviously will be out. He won't be playing.
right.
So going from that into the team prediction, let's say we'll be expecting Kepa in goal. Kepa's been
Yep.
great this season. We'd love him to stay. He said in one of his interviews that he'd love to stay in Bournemouth. He loves the chemistry and everything, but it's up to Chelsea. And Chelsea is struggling with the goalkeepers, right? And apparently they might be signing the Brighton goalkeeper at the end of the season, Verbruggen, who's had a good season.
Decent.
But then what's going to happen with Kepa? Because Kepa's clause is at 80 million. I'm sorry, but no club will pay 80 million for a goalkeeper.
They'll lower it
Maybe
and
in the
get rid of him.
future.
They don't care, do they? They're like a kid in a sweet shop. Chelsea, they just buy whatever they want
They
and worry
just
about
buy,
it
yeah.
later.
Yeah. So if I think if the price goes down to 20-ish million, I think we could buy Kepa. And Kepa would be, because he fitted team perfectly. He fitted in this team perfectly.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
and the
though, if
fans
20
love him.
million, 20 million, I think the other teams would be quite interested in him as well, to be fair. So, yeah, it's the ambition, I guess, that they have to show a little bit. But he's a good fit for you, isn't he? Definitely. He's a good
He is
keeper.
a good fit. He's a great fit, and especially because he's Spanish. The coach is Spanish. You know, there's chemistry.
Well, this
And
season he is until he goes next season.
yeah,
I'm
well,
joking.
you can only hope. But yeah,
Yeah, you're
starting
right
from
there.
Kepa. Kirk is on the left. I believe we're going to start with both Howson and James Hill as centre backs, and then Lewis Cook on the right. Now, without Ryan Christie in the middle, there will be Tyler Adams and probably Alex Scott, my opinion, and then Clivert as that central attacking mid, playing as a shadow striker or half winger.
Yep.
Semenyo on the right, and we'll probably see, I believe, this game Dango starting on the left, and then Evan Nilsson starting as a striker.
Nice. Kirkes, good player. Do you think you're going to get a heap of him, or is he going to go to Liverpool?
I think he's already gone.
Yeah.
I think he's already gone. Unfortunately, he was my favorite
Your
player since
your
he
face
signed.
pick is like someone losing their best friend. Oh,
But no, I mean, whether he listens to this or not, I don't know. But since he signed for the club, I was talking
why
a lot
wouldn't
about
he?
him, and I like him because he was born in the same country where I was born, where I live. So we got the same nationality basically, and
Right.
it's not many Serbian. I don't think any Serbian players were ever playing for Bournemouth.
That's true.
And he's, let's say, well, he plays for Hungarian national team. He's Hungarian, but he's also Serbian. So after one of the games recently, I met him after the game. We had a little chat, and we spoke obviously in Serbian and all that. And I said to him, I know what's going to happen, but I really hope you stay. And he just looked at me and smiled, and that's it. So
Did he smile or laugh?
no, he just smiled. No, I think
Okay.
it was a smile. I think it was a smile.
Well, to be
But
honest, you've got him, and he's done really well for you this season. So I do rate that
and yeah,
player.
as long as he's here, we are
Yeah.
glad to have him, and it's in his interest as well to play as better as he
Yeah.
can. So
100%. Well, as you said, you've got things to play for still, which is fantastic in the league. Spurs wise, we'll have a team pretty much similar to what we had last night. I would suggest, not last night, sorry, Thursday night. I
Thursday
would
night.
suggest, and it will be Vicario in goal. We'll probably Romero and Van der Ven. They've been training. There's no point, in my opinion, putting them into this match. They may as well just, if they're fit, play them in the next match against AZ Alkmaar when we've got to play at home. That's the most important match of the season for
Because
us.
you need to go through, yeah.
You go through, play your best players. So I think they'll stick with Gray and Danzo in central defence. I'd like to see. Well, Spencer's going to play. I'd like to see Porro play as well, rather than a doggy and the switch it around. But he might play a doggy again because he is a big doggy fan. Again, I don't know why. He does run a lot, but he's got to produce something as well. Midfield, Bergvall definitely. Well, he should play because he's the only one that drives us forward currently. I think he'll give another chance to Maddison because Kulusevski's out, so I think Maddison will play. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have taken him off. He was taken off against AZ Alkmaar as well. That was possible with this match in mind, just on tiredness. But he is the only creative player we've got in the centre, other than Bergvall driving forward. But he can't put the passes that Maddison can do, so he needs to step up. And now's the time to shine and get into that England squad as well. And then Bentancur, again, he'll be back in there, I would suggest, because he is our most reliable midfielder currently. Sarr came on for him later on in the game against AZ Alkmaar. and Basuma's gone right off the ball. He's as the youth say, dropped off, and I don't know what's happened to him at all. He's not the player he was, certainly. So I don't think he'll be on the bench because he's a good player on the bench, but that's about it. Up front, he'll have. I'd like him not to start with Sonny. There's just no point. I would start with Odebert on the left. I'd like them to actually play. He'll do the same. He'll put Odebert on the left. Or will he? Okay, so flip that around. He might play on the left. He plays Son central, and I'd like to see Tell on the other side, maybe. Although he's naturally a left.
But I can't see Tell playing on the right.
Yeah, but I just don't like Johnson. I just haven't got any time for him, unfortunately. I'd prefer one of our youth players come on and do something, to be honest. But yeah, I think he'll start with Sonny on the left anyway.
But I mean, Tell can play a striker as well. He's better, in my opinion. He's better as playing as, let's say, as a left midfielder, but with inside forward role, because he makes a lot of runs forward. And again, depends on which formation do you play.
When you're playing wing backs, it's difficult to do that, because you need
with the wing backs.
It's inverted, so it wouldn't necessarily work. So I'm not sure he was a right purchase. And obviously we've got the purchase option there as well at the time because we had no players and we needed to do something. But I'm not even sure if he fits into the actual model of what Ange wants. And then again, will Ange still be there, next season? So
hopefully he will, so you all can stay with us.
Yeah. Well, if he goes and wins the Europa Cup, then all is forgiven, and every Spurs fan doesn't remember the bad times that they've had every time that the team takes the pitch. Our Europa matches will only been our saviours, really, but I think that's what will happen in the match.
Can you break the curse? That's the question. Can you break the curse and win something?
How much? What have you won recently? Come on.
No, I think a smaller club, but
yeah. Oh, okay.
We will.
Okay. I think it's a lot easier to. I'm not making excuses for players, definitely, but there seems to definitely be a mental block when people come to play for Spurs. I don't know if it's something to do with the pressure of playing for a club who's got a rich history. Although saying that history is fastly getting further and further away than the present day. We haven't, as you said quite rightly, we haven't won anything in the last couple of years. So we certainly need to do something in the next few years, if not this season.
It's not as bad as Man United. Come on, you have to say it.
I mean, the thing about Man U is, and we said this on the podcast the other day. I mean, you have to look at Man U team and say what players would get into Spurs, what players would get into any top team. You would even say with your team as well, what players would you take into your current Bournemouth team as well? I know we're digressing a bit, but I think
there are some top quality players, but my personal opinion, something is toxic from inside, and
yeah, they've got the same problem as we have.
Say again?
They've got the same problem as we have, and it's almost like an identity issue.
You started following their team, basically their problem, right? It's like you started copying them.
We used to sell them our best players, Berbatovs, Carricks, and Sherringham's, and they did well off us, to be fair. And since we haven't been doing that, they've struggled. So maybe there's a link. Maybe there is.
You've signed a player from us. So.
That's all true, but he's always injured. Okay, so predictions then, Vic. What do you reckon?
I'll go this time with. I can't remember what was my prediction last time. I remember yours was 3-2 because I remember.
Well, both open teams.
2-3, and then you said we'll 3-2 either way. So I think they obviously looking at the last game and only 1-0 win from Bournemouth. I think actually this game might open up, and especially because Bournemouth's last few games, I think 8 out of 10 last Bournemouth games have produced at least 3 goals per game. So if we score first, that's going to be boom. There will be goals. There will be goals. If we have to chase the score, then it's going to be tough. But considering that you're playing against AZ Alkmaar next week again, and trying to chase sort of that 1-0 loss,
Yeah.
I believe he might sort of look more towards that game and save some of the players and not put too much accent on this game, which will
Yep.
see us taking away all 3 points and fighting for that Europe. So I would say we will keep the clean sheet. You being without Solanke and everything, 3-0 to Bournemouth.
Interesting. I personally would easily write this match off and just move to the next match because it means absolutely nothing to me now. Other than hopefully getting some players proving that they're worth putting on the Tottenham Hotspur shirt, which they should do every time they do it, but they haven't been. So I can see you guys winning, honestly, but I am always going to go on the positive for the Spurs and say that it's going to be a boring 0-0. I'm joking. It's going to be. Let's have a look. It could be 2-1 either way. So I think we will score. It won't be anything classy, but I think it'll be 2-1. I also think we'll be more resolute in defence than we have been. It's at home. If you score first, the stadium always has an issue. Maybe goes a bit quiet, which doesn't help the team, and they can feel that as well. If we score first, then I think that we'll go on to win it. So,
well, at least when the Cherries play in Vitality is different. Even if the opposite team scores, we're never quiet, and you could see that especially against Wolves in the last game, cup game, 120 minutes of football. We did not stop singing, chanting. I left the stadium without voice, literally.
Well, I think that's something to do with for us is the Levy. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we do want them out. So we'll see. Sunday's only around the corner, mate, isn't it? So we shall see. Right, that's all we've got time for, buddy, isn't it? Really. So been rambling on for a while. That's all we've got time today on the Daily Tottenham / Daily Bournemouth. Thank you so much for listening to our. And for obviously you, Vic, for being here from Daily Bournemouth as well. Make sure you follow us on the socials at Daily Tottenham and at Daily Bournemouth, and on our YouTube channel at Global Sports Podcast Network Limited. Don't know what a limited is on there, but until next time, it's goodbye from me, Chris Mervyn. It's goodbye from you, Vic. See you later, mate.
Everyone, and thanks for listening. And up the Cherries!
Oh, I was going to leave that right to the end. You've been listening to the Daily Tottenham crossover with Daily Bournemouth on the Global Sports Podcast Network. Come on, you Spurs!
Up the Cherries!